Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and in today's video something is going to happen that I truly didn't expect. What exactly it's going to be, you're going to have to wait and see. Today I'm playing in the K91, which I think is one of the most underrated medium tanks in the game. I've talked all about the K91 in great detail in a video from a couple of months ago, or should I say a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, are we a couple of months or a couple of weeks? It's almost New Year, it's absolutely outrageous. Which was my first masterclass video on the K91. And I talked about how this vehicle, when you set it up correctly, has astonishing camera rating and astonishing rate of fire. It has, I believe, the best DPM in World of Tanks on any of the medium tanks, and when you use equipment like a low noise exhaust system, which I'm using on this tank right now, you have 40% concealment when you're moving and 50% concealment when you're stationary, and I use that to be able to become the master sniper in World of Tanks, a sniper which I would argue is not quite as flexible as a Leopard, but is just as dangerous, or even more dangerous. Alright, so today I'm going to be playing in the K91 on Sand River. So it's definitely one of the better maps for this tank. I feel like there's so many opportunities to catch your opponents out at a decent distance. And yeah, I expected that, Mr. BZ55, as he fires a gold round into me earlier on in the game. I would argue getting quite lucky to be able to go through my turret over the ridgeline, and tries to sneak up behind me there to also put more gold rounds in. Luckily for me, I have some tanks towards the south who managed to light up that tank, or sorry, I spotted him and they lit him up, right? With regards to putting rounds into the vehicle, which helps me out in that scenario. So I'm going to be loading some high explosive anti-tank rounds here for the top of the Tortoise. Luckily the KV-4 is engaging the Kunze-Panzer, and in retrospect, this is kind of awkward, greedy play by me to think that I could just isolate the Tortoise and the Kunze-Panzer was going to just let me sit there for free. So I realize that I have to drop back now and I have to start to snipe at the Kunze-Panzer. Now this is also one of the more accurate light tanks in the game, but I do have to admit I have sacrificed, I believe, 5% of the accuracy in this vehicle to be able to gain 3% extra rate of fire. Yes, the 7th field mod on this tank, just quickly as this T-54 lightweight decides to come after me. What are you doing, son? Get out of here, you're not going to mess me up. The 7th field mod on this tank, you have a choice. Do you want to improve the aiming circle size by 5%, or do you want to improve the rate of fire by 3%? Now, 5% accuracy is a lot to lose on any vehicle, but I decided that it is something that I am willing to sacrifice on this tank because I want to try and make this already incredible rate of fire better. And spoilers, you can pretty much get the rate of fire of this vehicle to 5 seconds or sub 5 seconds on this tank, which is truly outrageous. And just look here that the Kunze-Panzer doesn't actually see us, even though he's about 400 meters away, until we fire. And that's of course because I got 40% concealment on this tank. So it's just so wonderful to sit there in waiting, as if you're setting up a trap for your opponents. And then you can manage to just pick them apart. Talk about picking them apart, I didn't even mention that we had that Batchat 12T that just decided to jump upon us earlier. Sorry for reversing out in front of you, Emil, but this thing, it doesn't have a fully traversable turret, and so we're going to get into that awkward position, and oh yes, there we go. There's a tracking shot. What are we going to follow it up with? Oh, I was very happy with myself when I landed that second tracking shot on the move at the T-103, and I was hoping that we were going to be able to lock down their entire tank, and indeed we did. 3 shots in quick succession, with a follow-up shot from the Scorpion that's towards the southern flank, and we were absolutely slamming this game, at least with regards to everything apart from losing half of our hit points. So in this scenario, I've just got the perfect tank. Great high explosive anti-tank pen, good APCR rounds with the best shell velocity in the game, and we can manage to just clutch shot that Jagdpanzer 100. A little disappointed that I didn't get 3 shots instead of 2 into them, but well, beggars can't be choosers. Can you believe the standard pen on this tank as well? 276, wow. This thing is actually really good for the free-to-play players. It's really good for the pay-to-win players. It's a really good tank, although I would argue for the highly skilled players. I think it's an incredibly tricky tank to play. That's why I decided to start the Masterclass series with this tank. Alrighty then, so we've managed to pick up 3,700 damage in the first 4.5 minutes of this game, and also 1,000 spotting. Having dealt with that southern flank, now we can turn our attention to the Badger. I can't really go through that position on the Badger. I'm worried that I was spotted there with the way that he lurched his turret towards me, but I think it's because he was spotting the Batchat. So I come round, he's not aiming at me, but I am aiming for his weak point, and that is the lower plate, just waiting for an opportunity to see if he will expose it more. But I decide, why not? Let's go for it. We're one of the more accurate medium tanks in the game. We shut them down. Ooh, that was a bit awkward. That's what happens when you lower the accuracy and the gun handling of this vehicle to be able to maximize the camera rating. But I feel like it's kind of working out for us so far, right? So we're going to slam a few more high explosive anti-tank rounds, hopefully into the lower plate of the Badger. And we've just got to wait until we're no longer spotted. Then our vision has reset, then we can go after the Badger again. Now they don't want to expose their tank anymore, which is probably the right thing to do. They've got to try and keep that lower plate hidden. But I really want to get rid of this Badger so I can try and move on to more important aspects of this game. He just wants to sit there. Shall I fire my HE round? Shall I try and go for the other vehicles? The Badger turns their armor towards the side. It's a little bit of a tricky situation. And I feel that the game is slowly starting to slip into the team's favor as we have a KV-4 that pushes round that gets shut down by an SU-130 PM. We have the Emil to shut down our 5100. We have an Object 268 version 4 who says, QB, this is how you deal with a Badger. You just rush them in your Soviet tank. And then I'm going to manage to make my way around the corner. And you'll notice that I don't have the same gun depression over the front as the side, which is why I always have to turn this vehicle all the way. And this VZ55, he's just absolutely irritating me this entire game. Have I even managed to damage that tank? Yeah, it looks like I damaged them once earlier on in the game, but I don't have 500 hit points to give that Czechoslovakian autoloading heavy. And you can tell that I was right to start to feel that this game is slipping away. We've kind of got this center position, but what's the point of having the center position of the map if you're not also controlling the southern flank? Now our FV405 and our T54 lightweight and even our Super Conqueror, who's on full health, that is half of our hit points right now, is just completely oblivious to the fact that they have two high DPM medium tanks in the middle of the map who shut down the T54. The Kunze-Panzer, who we were engaging earlier, shuts down the Object 268 version 4, and I am incredibly worried in this game, as undoubtedly the Super Conqueror is going to start to hemorrhage hit points to the VZ55 and the Jagdpanzer 100, but I have to try and secure a flank. I guess bad play by me for not securing a flank as a medium tank, although I think once you've done 4,300 damage and 1,000 spotting in the first half of this game, I think it's kind of understandable that I was still in a position that was at least worth something, right? So now we've got a Scorpion behind me who actually reacted to my calls. It looks like they were going across towards the north, and they decided to come and join us. And unfortunately, while I've got a great rate of fire, it's just not quite that great enough to be able to get the second round into the T62A, and now we're going to be venturing forth to see if we can find this CS52 lease. The FV4005 is now making their way from the cap circle up towards the south, and I'm thinking, who do I go for? My left or my right? My left or my right? Okay, well, FV405 makes it pretty obvious for me. Now I can come around the corner and go after this Polish medium tank, and I'm going to try and keep my frontal armor towards them and hope that I get a ricochet, and I actually block the shell with my gun. I'm happy about that, because that means that I can penetrate them 3 times and I can keep my 800 hit points. And lo and behold, it's me and a Scorpion versus now 5 tanks instead of 6 on the enemy team. Although I was really happy that that FV4005 dealt with that T62A, because that's a tricky tank to be able to deal with. Alright, so this is where the K91, I'd say it's probably the best medium tank, if not the best tank in the game for these kind of situations. Easy pen, right? Wrong. Somehow we failed to go through a VZ55 from the side at that angle. Yeah, no doubts there as to why that tank is packing the best win ratio of any of the tier 10 tech tree heavy tanks right now. That VZ55 just bouncing me left, right, and center. So many shells that just look like they should have gone in. I tell you what, that VZ55, you might want to be picking up a lottery ticket, especially before this game is done. Alright, so me and the Scorpion now in this tense 2 versus 5 situation where the enemies outnumber us, but also have a lot more hit points. But not for long, as we clutch shell that Kunze-Panzer. I was happy about that. Now we've got the VZ55 in the center of the map, who I've also managed to spot out, and hoping that our Scorpion can be able to get into a position to be able to finish them off. The Scorpion should be able to finish off the VZ55 pretty much every single time unless they min-roll. So that's good. So as long as my Scorpion holds on to his 1,150 hit points, should be able to engage the Czechoslovakian heavy tank or maybe just be able to help me out. Okay, so in this kind of a scenario, the last thing that I want to do is to stay in the same position as the Scorpion. Allowing them to be able to get up underneath your gun line is not how you're going to win in a K91. With the setup that I have on this vehicle, where I have that 40% concealment when I'm moving, while also still having, about 470 meters view range, what I want to do against all of these vehicles on the enemy team, apart from the Su-130PM, is just to try and keep it at a decent distance. You'll see that I communicate with my Scorpion. I say, you hold please, stay safe, let me work. And how am I going to work? I want to work on the fringes, like somebody with a reach advantage would work inside a ring. I want to try and keep my opponents at a distance where they're not going to be able to see me, but I am going to be able to see them. One round into the side of the Jagdpanzer. Perfect shot there, looping into the lower plate. Now puts the Jagdpanzer E100 with a very high roll, followed by a slightly high roll, now down to the one-shot range for me, which I was very happy about. Looks like I spotted, or maybe the Scorpion spotted the Jagdpanzer E100 one more time, and our Scorpion is still sitting there on full hit points. And suddenly on 6,000 damage and 1,000 spotting, I was starting to feel a little bit more confident in this game. And this is just what the K91 is great for. Setting the distance, controlling the engagement, and slowly but surely advancing into a better position on the battlefield to be able to grind out its opponents. So this Scorpion, I'd like to give a massive shout out to you, Beric, for fighting through this situation here and also listening to coming up with a strategy where we can hopefully get between them. Or should we say that the enemies become the meat in our sandwich? Because two of them are in the cap circle, and I don't think it's a Jagdpanzer E100 who's in the cap circle. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to just let the chips fall where they may. We've got a minute left. I'm going to get forwards into these bushes. I'm going to spot out the Jagdpanzer so he's not in the cap circle, turn my tank to the side, and wait for the perfect opportunity to finish off the Jagdpanzer while remaining unspotted. And oh, here we go, slowly but surely whittling down the hit points that the enemy team have. Now hopefully we can get a shot into the Emil as well. There we go. Now we actually have a hit point advantage compared to the enemy team. One more into the side of the Emil's 2's turret, and I'm feeling very confident. Right up until the moment that I get spotted, and oh, now they know where I am. I was hoping that I could remain hidden from the VZ-55 there. My Scorpion G has taken a hit. It looks like he might have taken a low roll from the SU, or maybe a shot from the Emil too there. And I'm trying to look for a shell to see if I can help out my friend, and oh, here we go. VZ-55, nice easy shot into the side. Shell goes left. It's a tracking shot. Okay, easy shell here into the side of the turret. Shell somehow bounces off the roof deck of the VZ, and the guy manages to club me. Look at this shot into a pixel on my upper hull over the ridge line. I was frustrated as hell in this scenario. 7,000 damage and 1,000 spotting, and now I've lost all of the hit points that I needed to hopefully be able to carry this game. But I couldn't believe it because the Scorpion made a hero play against the Su-130PM, so now we're back in a 2 versus 2 engagement on pretty much dead even hit points. So the Emil 2 decided to leave the cap circle and go off towards our Scorpion, and now I'm going to hopefully be able to get a shot in the side while starting to run low on ammunition. Well, I've only got 5 shells that aren't high explosive left in the tank. I'm going to fire another one into the side of the turret, but it doesn't manage to connect. The Scorpion comes over the ridgeline, finds the Emil, and shuts them down. And so now, wham bam, thank you ma'am, we're in a 1 versus 2 scenario. And I say, mate, if you want to win, I need you to tank for me. So what I mean here is that we're fighting against a Czechoslovakian heavy tank, the vast majority of which are going to be using the autoloader. They will be able to kill me and possibly tank the Scorpion in this scenario. But if the Scorpion manages to tank 2 shells from the VZ-55, then I will be able to undoubtedly finish the VZ-55 off while they're reloading. So in this scenario, the last thing that I want to do is get spotted, because if I get spotted, then the VZ-55 is clearly going to turn and come after me, and I can't kill them in a single shot. However, the Scorpion G can. So if this Scorpion just goes and tanks for me and just drives into the VZ-55 and takes the 2 shots, I will undoubtedly win the game. But the Scorpion is trying to bait. The Scorpion is trying to use the tracks. I hear the VZ-55 fire once, I go forwards, and the VZ-55 now spots me with the proxy. He's refusing to fire that second shell. I guess the Scorpion's trying to bait him into fire the second shot at the tracks, and there we go. He's fired his 2 shells. Now we should be able to get him. Go forwards. It's a Czechoslovakian auto-reloading heavy tank that is going to be reloading in this scenario, and I've got... What? Are you actually kidding me? And that's right. They weren't using the autoloader. They were using the single shotgun. And you can tell the difference because the break on the end of the barrel. The auto loading gun, I believe it's shorter and it doesn't have the break on the end. But unfortunately, I'd never had a chance to be able to fully see this through the outlines, trying to keep myself hidden. I'd never had an opportunity to be able to see it. And so if we go and take a look at this replay, once again, from the Scorpion's perspective, fighting against the VZ55, let me explain why it was just so important that the Scorpion, what I said, tanked for me in this situation. This is from his point of view, from the Scorpion's point of view here. You can see what the Scorpion's doing. He's trying to expose only his track to be able to bait. And this was the moment where everything just became awful for me. I didn't realize that the Scorpion behind all of this rubble had been tracked. I thought he'd just been shot, and with the VZ55 disappearing from view because the Scorpion no longer had vision on them, I thought that maybe the VZ just decided that he didn't want to chase because he was concerned about me. And so that meant that now the Scorpion isn't bothering to try and tank anymore, and the Scorpion should have gone around the corner to take the shot, and I thought that the VZ55 would be the autoloader. The winning play here for the Scorpion would have been as follows. The Scorpion has enough hit points to tank a shot. So if the VZ fires, he should go around the corner and put a shot into the lower plate, or just, maybe try and get the side. That would mean that if the VZ was using the single shotgun, that the Scorpion would be able to kill him before the VZ actually removed him from the game. And if he'd gone in and not tried to hide his tank, that would have also meant that the VZ55 would have undoubtedly fired both shots, because how are you going to win an engagement unless you fire both shots? Unless he fired one into the Scorpion, knew that I would try and attack him, and then saved the shot for me to be able to fire the second shot. And then be able to reload, knowing that he has more chance of fighting a Scorpion for 20 seconds off than he has against a K91. Definitely something that I didn't expect, and I still feel that I did the right thing by waiting. I thought he'd be using the autoloader, and with the confusion with the VZ somehow re-stealthing, the Scorpion G just didn't quite do what I needed him to do, which was to tank for me. It's not something that I would often ask for, but when you're fighting against arguably the best heavy tank at tier 10 in the game, sometimes even I'm going to ask for my tier 8s to make that ultimate sacrifice. Nevertheless, a real close game. Well played to the VZ55 for winning this 1 versus 2 situation, and an absolute heartbreak for me and my K91. So an ace tanker here for our 882 base experience, but of course that will get 50% on top with the courageous resistance. We get a high caliber for our 7,637 damage dealt, and a defender medal for protecting the cap circle, although ultimately it wasn't quite enough. And we managed to just about break even on credits, even though we had to dig deep in our ammunition reserves to be able to try and get through this game. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, hopefully that shows you just how awesome the K91 is in these engagements. And a big thank you to the Scorpion on my team, Burek. It was a pleasure to try and get through this situation with you. And yeah, I guess there was just no right thing to really do in that situation. I guess we should have gone in at the same time and trusted each other to be able to get the kill. And I'm sorry if I didn't trust you to be the one to secure the kill against the tank, and I needed you to tank for me in that situation. I guess both of our hesitation ended up being our combined weakness, and that's what allowed the VZ to take the game. Anyway, I hope this was a real exciting game for all of you and an enjoyable watch on YouTube. If it was, make sure you give the video a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know what you think in the comments about that end game stressful situation. What kind of plays could have been made better? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.